Hey, what's up, sports fans? Welcome to yet another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and my man RPF. It is another fabulous week of sports. As always, we have some action in the NBA and NHL Finals, or kind of like, do we? I don't know. And we'll also get into some other stuff. My man RPF, let's start with, how you doing?
I'm okay. I've had a rough couple of nights. I've been sick like everyone else apparently in the country, but not as rough as the Miami Heat past couple of games. but we'll get into it now. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting Memorial Day weekend for a lot of players, a lot of teams.
Yes, yeah. Coming to a holiday weekend. Love my summer holidays with the good weather and we're blessed with some good weather up here in the Northeast this weekend, so I'm pretty pumped about that. But enough about that fluff. Let's get into some sports. RPF, where do you want to start today?
I think we have to start with the Celtics and the Heat.
Okay.
In the basketball playoffs. I think we have to start.
Yeah, they were so.
To put it in perspective. Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
The Miami Heat. In fact, this whole week before, it was 4 teams in both hockey and NBA were about to sweep 4 games in a row. It was the Florida Panthers and the Las Vegas Knights in hockey. We're up 3-0.
Yep. And
the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets and the Panthers did sweep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yep.
So meanwhile, the Lakers were swept. Yeah, and
this is why I said, is there any action?
Yeah, there is. No, there is.
It was like we had been hyping up these finals for so long, and then all of a sudden it was
but now it's like now they're kind of backdooring themselves into contention. Excuse me, I've been sick, like I've said.
That's okay. But he's still with us, folks.
I'm still with you. But Miami Heat was up. We're up 3-0. And then they lost it, after, and I knew it was dangerous because, to put it in perspective, the Heat obliterated the Celtics in Game 3. They went to Boston and won the first 2 games, which was unprecedented for an 8th seed team to do that to a number 2 seed. Boston came back to Miami and literally limped its way to a humiliating loss, to the point where I've never seen every commentator, from Charles Barkley to Shaq to everybody, ESPN, up and down NBA Network, saying this was embarrassing. That was the word that was universally used against the Celtics. And it was embarrassing for their franchise, embarrassing for the team effort, embarrassing for the bookies. It was just insane. Of course, even Game 3, the Celtics were favored to beat Miami, according to the Vegas odds makers, because, Miami can't catch a break with any of the odds makers. Anyway, but it was kind of like, okay, just one more game to put these people away, and that was it. And I was a little scared because, historically, as a Red Sox fan that I am, we all remember very well what happened in 2004 when the Yankees beat the Red Sox in the 3rd game of that ALCS, and it was it ALCS or ALDS? Anyway, it was they
Red
were up.
Sox Yankees.
Yeah, in 2004.
That was ALCS. That was championship.
CS, was it?
Yep. Yeah.
So it was up 2 games to nothing. In that 3rd game, I think we lost 19-8 or something like that at Fenway. It was the most horrifying display of any team I've ever seen the Red Sox put on. That's when, the gang of idiots and got on Big Papi's back and the whole and Russia's history for the next decade and a half and still going. So when Barstool Sports dude, what's his name? David. Dave Portnoy, yeah. He went on Twitter and said, we got him right where we want him. It's 3-0. It's 149 times to 0. This has happened in basketball, but we're Boston fans. This is, and it struck a nerve thinking, oh God, did he just wake them up? And it's something about how he said it with such confidence, he's always very. And I said, we have to win in Miami in Game 4, because then if not, we're back in Boston. That gets messy. We're back in Miami. That gets scary, and then back in Boston. So I was thinking, of course, being a Boston fan, I'm always like a doomsday guy. So sure enough, Boston managed to win in Miami. So now last night or 2 nights ago, we were up in Boston, and literally, Miami Heat was manhandled by the Celtics. It was just not even close, and and I don't mind so much. And I called the Heat in 6 games in the beginning of the series, so we're on track for winning in 6. in Miami again, which is tomorrow night. And I think it's tonight. Anyway, so I think I still think that's going to happen, but I don't like that how we've lost the last 2 games. I don't like not being competitive when we don't show. Not showing up is different than fighting and losing, and that's what the Heat have lost. Have showed up all season and lost a lot of tough games, almost not making the playoffs. But that's what worries me about this, because Game 6 is Game 7 to me, because just like the Red Sox were not going to lose Game 7 after coming back all the way from the brink of humiliation. Right. They're not, if the Heat have to go back to Boston Garden, to TD Garden for Game 7, if the arena sustains its the earthquake, yeah. I mean, it could be the other way. It could be like the most epic, almost failure to come back and win, and kind of. It could be. It's going to be very interesting for everyone, but Heat fans, I think, if Game 7 happens. Game 6 is going to be, I think, a double overtime Miami eke out victory with someone coming in doing some heroics. I'm going to call it for Bam Adebayo as a hero. Double overtime in Miami, we win the game. Okay, but we'll see. It's going to be. I think everything has to happen this game for Miami. If not, brace yourselves. It's going to be a Celtics tsunami.
Celtics
149-0. 149-0 are the times that teams have come back from 3-0 in the NBA playoffs, and only 3 teams have forced a Game 7. So that's saying a lot. All right, so that's and then the Nuggets. The Nuggets swept the Lakers.
This is so ironically, this is the series that I like. Of the 2 series, obviously I want to see good basketball, and so when the Celtics were about to get swept, I was like, what the, so I like as a fan of just the sports in general, I'm glad that they're coming back and they're putting some entertainment into the series, but on the flip side of that, here I was, if you go back to a past couple episodes, here I was kind of I don't want to say I was on the LeBron James bandwagon train or anything, but I was all of a sudden hey, old guy, this is pretty cool. You're doing some really cool stuff.
You were as nice to him as you've ever been.
Yeah, right. And I was pulling for him, and I was like, wow, this, this 38, I think he's 38. This 38-year-old is putting a team on his back and he's carrying them. I was like, this is really cool. And then they just laid an egg.
Mm-hmm. A big one.
Huge one. Honest to God, I kind of I was like, oh, okay, Game 1. I didn't even really pay attention. And then it was all of a sudden I looked up and I was like, oh, Denver's up 3-0. I was like, wait, what?
I know, funny. And so many critics just were quick to jump on the bandwagon saying, MJ never had any team swept from the playoffs, and this is the 3rd time that LeBron gets swept. But again, that goes back to my point about MJ and LeBron. That LeBron has to do it himself, and it's hard to do it himself. Where MJ's always had a balance. Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman kind of helping out a little bit. But anyway, but the Nuggets and Djokovic, not Djokovic, what's his name? What's the guy's name? Jokic. I don't think Jokic is enough to beat either the Heat or the Celtics. I think that both teams come at them from so many different points that it's not the sustained set basketball that they play.
I think I'm agreeing with you on that one. Given my expertise in basketball analysis and positional play and breakdown of systems. I
just got the fact that they're making a joke, but I'm thinking, is he kidding? I don't know if he knows what these words mean together. I'll put it this way: Jokic is one stub toe away from Denver being swept by whomever plays.
The eye test to me just seems that whoever's coming out of the East seems like they're going to have a handle on the Denver Nuggets. But then again, I don't know. Did I see them sweeping the Lakers? No. Absolutely not.
And Denver has never been to the final. I mean, of all teams, they've never been there. And so the whole fan base, everyone's going crazy. So look, it's going to be entertaining. I mean, somewhat. It'd be much, much better TV if it was obviously LeBron versus either the Celtics or the Heat. But all eyes. I mean, if you like sports even a little, you should watch this game tonight in Miami. I feel it's going to be chippy. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to hopefully not come down to a ref, to a bad or good call. Hopefully it's going to be very, very, but it's going to be intense. And these Miami fans get a lot of, BS attacks from the NBA world, because we're like, the fans in Miami are late arrivals. They're like champagne people. They're like rappers, they're like, but I think it's going to be pretty much, Cuban heat coming up there. A lot of noise, a lot of, and Jimmy Butler is maybe getting his head straight just after a couple of games. So he checked out a little bit. So I think I have a hunch that it's going to be coming down to a last moment type of heroic, something. All right.
Yeah, well, listen, we're not even going to cover the NHL playoffs because it's just an absolute snooze fest.
Well, kind of. I have a little bit.
Panthers just wiped the
floor. Panthers, by the way. But I'll tell you about the Panthers a little bit.
But what I was going to get to real quick is now that the Panthers are in, hey, listen, I think I'm kind of on the Heat bandwagon because I would just love to see Miami just like exploding.
You do like teams. You like both
I like
cities.
Richard, Richard, I like excitement. I like when it's just madness going on, and I can't fathom the madness that would be happening in Miami. Like Miami's already a madness city, right? It's already partying. It's already having a great time. Now throw NBA and NHL finals, not conference finals, championship finals, Stanley Cup finals, right on top of each other, and I think it would just
to make DeSantis crazy, I think it should be a drag queen parade in Disney World or something.
That'd be fantastic.
Just to throw everything up to but I think
if they both win, they could like combine resources and just throw this massive.
Well, did you see McDaniel, the coach for the Dolphins? The Panthers have this drum that they do, dun 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 dun. Anyway, and McDaniel was there doing it, and he was like loving it. So I think the Dolphins, their trajectory is up. The Heat obviously are up on fire, and the Panthers are like the Cinderella team of sports. So right now they're it's just a very, very good time to be a Miami fan, which I don't think I've ever said in my entire lifetime. So it's been, except from when I was 10 years old when the perfect season happened for the Dolphins. But yeah, in hockey, quickly, just basically, I think the co-MVPs for the Panthers, which are truly the Cinderella story, are Sergei Bobrovsky, who's a goaltender, who's saved more shots on goal than any other goalie in playoff history at this point. And he's, remember, every game has gone to double overtime or whatever. And also Kachuk. When the Panthers had the best season last year in the regular season and got upset by the Tampa Bay team in the first round of playoffs, we traded our best players for Kachuk, and people were like, "What are you doing? You're going to blow everything up just for one dude?" And he has literally scored every game-winning goal this playoff. Kachuk with 3 seconds left in overtime or 2 seconds left in regular, it's just like this guy just knows where the ball, knows where the puck is. And it's just been a tremendous thing to watch. So Kachuk and Bobrovsky are both the one is known quantity, but the goaltender is actually he's been like a journeyman type of player. And he's landed in Florida, and he's been nothing but golden. The Panthers, by the way, a fun stat. The Panthers were the only were only in the playoff position 28% of the time this season, making them the first team in NHL history to go to the Stanley Cup Finals with less than 30% of the time of the season in a playoff spot. So, I mean, it's a very kind of nuts and bolts technical stuff, but it's like, again, shows how anything is possible. Just given a big heart and a lucky bouncing puck. And then the Golden Knights are up 3-1 against Dallas. I'm actually kind of glad that Dallas won one game in Dallas, because the fans are really, they have this little chant after they score goals, and I can't figure it out if it's very kind of like German 1937 type of feel. I don't know if you've seen what they do when they score a goal.
Yeah,
it's I'm like, it is Dallas up there, it's Texas. I'm thinking, what are they doing? And it was a very kind of like STARS, like a little bit of a hand motion. And I was like, okay, I'm hoping it's more Napoleon and less, other leaders. But anyway, the Dallas, I'm glad they won one game. Now let's back to Vegas. Let's get the game, the series over with. Let's start the Panthers, Vegas, South Beach against Vegas, right? That should be the Vegas Strip versus South Beach.
That's a pretty spicy matchup.
That's a fun one, right? That's a fun matchup, right?
Regardless of, I'm not even talking about teams or the actual sport of hockey. It's just the two cities. That's a pretty spicy matchup.
I want to see those crazy Cubans flying to Vegas just for a hockey game, which is like hilarious. Anyway, so I think that's hockey for me. Do you want to get to the quick recap of the PGA?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got live golf. We got a live golfer spicing up the golf world.
You know what? It's funny, and I was never a Koepka fan, really, in a sense that I kind of liked him, but then I kind of thought he was an asshole. Then I kind of liked him again for being an asshole. Then I kind of didn't like. So I was kind of like on this weird type of like, and then he went to live, and he's a sellout.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I figured I don't have to like him, but I have to respect him. The guy, after what he went through at the Masters, you guys may recall, he was leading, going into the final round of the Masters, and he blew it, and which was pretty much a choke. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. And he stood there and he said, "Yeah, it was a choke," and I made adjustments and I'm okay. So sure enough, come Sunday at the PGA, he's up again by 2 strokes, and everyone's thinking, he's gonna. And he stood there. He's a couple of times for 10 seconds or so. He was a co-leader, and then he would just putt out.
Yep.
But he was unfazed, unflappable, and that to me struck me as something clicked inside his brain, and he's someone to be reckoned with. It was very impressive. But more importantly than that was the feel-good sports story of the year, Michael Block, the PGA Pro.
Michael Block, yeah. That was
Michael Block was something. I mean, you cannot script this in a Hollywood movie. It's ridiculous.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Hang on. Let me
explain it to people, please.
Okay. So Michael Block's he's a golf pro at a
By the way, people are confusing. Golf pro doesn't mean a professional. Yes. It means somebody who teaches golf lessons to your kid.
So the way golf is set up is every golf course has a golf pro, or is at least supposed to. I'm sure some really, really small ones might not.
A road golf course and stuff.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, there's but yes, every major golf course that you see as you're driving by has a golf pro, which is basically the head instructor of that course, and they need to be qualified. They have to. I don't know what the qualifications are. I think they have to have maybe had a PGA card at some point or something. I forget what it is, but you have to be. Yeah, you have to be pretty good.
You have to be good.
No, you have to be really good. You have to be really good. And so anyway, but you're not on the tour. Like, you're not an everyday professional.
Right.
And so Michael Block is the golf pro at a course out in California, and all of a sudden, listen.
And for the PGA, they let the top 15 PGA PGA pros play in the first, obviously, and they never make the cut because it's
and they usually never make the cut and this and that. And so here, all of a sudden, Michael Block's just shooting even par, and he makes the cut. And now, mind you, even par on a weekend that dudes were getting eaten alive out there. That course was tough.
Mickelson was 6 over or something the first day. It was
So he was. Long story short, Michael Block, all of a sudden, I don't think he was never in contention to win the thing.
But
he was in contention for a top 10, top 15
finish. First of all, he was the third pairing. He was the third last pairing to go with Rory. He was paired with Rory. And the best reaction ever was when they told him. Rory, did you see that?
His reactions to everything were what made the whole storyline.
Exactly. Yeah. When they told him that Rory was his partner on Sunday, he went, "What? No." He goes, "Oh, that's going to be fun." No, come on.
So cool. Yeah,
it was right, so cool. like a dream. It's
so anyway, let me give you this little story of how this went down for me personally. So I'm following him, I think he was one of the featured groups, him and Rory on Sunday, and so I was just watching those two because I was fascinated by this golf pro, and I was, and like I said,
he had a rough
was never
start
going to
Sunday,
win. I didn't think he was going to win, but I was just so fascinated with how good could he do. And he started to slide a little bit on Sunday. He was like two over, I think. I'm not certain, but anyway, I was like, come on, man. And so, long story short,
because the goal is he has to finish in the top 15 of the whole tournament to be invited again the next year to the PGA Championship.
But I'm getting all excited about this guy, and my wife, Austin, is like, she's kind of like walking through the room back here and there, and she's like, what? She's like, what's going on? Like, what are you cheering for? Like, and I'm like, I was like, this guy. I was like, so I'm telling her the story, and like, I'm getting into it. Well, we have to go to my daughter's soccer game that night, and so we leave, and I'm at my daughter's soccer game, and it's going do, and I'm watching, and I'm just trying to keep updates here and there, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what? And I'm like, I'm trying to watch the game, then I'm trying to pay attention, and I'm like, what? And Austin's like, she's like, what are you doing? Stop, get off your phone. And I was like, he hit a hole in one. He hit a hole in one. And I was like, it's like going ball. I was like, he hit a hole in one. And she was like, who?
Yeah, no. Who exactly?
I was like, Michael Block.
Everyone's favorite person in the world.
Yeah.
To put in perspective, this guy who's shot par for the first 3 rounds. He's in the third grouping, leading. The third to last grouping, which is like the higher up you are on the leaderboard, you get to be tee off later, of course. So of course he is in the final like TV grouping. So he's there. He's playing pretty rough. He's playing okay to rough. He's like you said, he was 2 over. He goes to the 15th hole in a par 3, and he literally not only hits a hole in one, he hits a hole in one on the fly. It literally
dunks it.
It's like a Shaquille O'Neal, and it rips the hole. It rips the hole.
He didn't even know it went in because it was such a slam dunk.
No. They all giving him. Rory saw it first. Rory turns around and goes, "Oh my God, brother!" And all stuff. And he said, "He goes, it went in. It went in." Yeah. He kept saying, "No, come on, no way, it went in." he thought he overhit it.
Like I think he probably heard it like hit the pin or something, like
or something. Like it probably hit. Like he thought he were right,
and the crowd went crazy. So he knew he hit a great shot.
He thought he hit the flag and it went away somewhere. That's why people were like, "Oh my God, almost a hole in one." He goes, "No, dude, you got a hole in one." First of all, you can't make on a Sunday the last round of the PGA. He needs to get to the top 15. He hits a hole in one to get to even par again. And then on the 18, he saves this miraculous par. I mean, I don't know if you remember this chip and this chip and save, but he wasn't going to make it. And he got it in. I literally started crying. I was so happy for him. I was like, I've never been happier for a 15th place person ever.
I listened when he got that hole in one. I replayed the crowd eruption like 15 times.
Yeah.
It was
genuine joy for people.
Unbelievable how, because the ball's, golf, like it's golf, so it's very quiet. And so the ball's up in the air and it's just like dead silence. And because it's a slam dunk, there was no buildup, right? There was no crescendo of crowd eruption. It was just like, it was in the air and it just went thunk, and the whole, it's just,
I think it was PGA.com or somebody interviewed the 16th place person that he catapulted over to get to the slot, and the guy was like, "If I had to go somewhere, if I had to lose to somebody, a pretty good way to go out." Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it was a really unexpected and just reminds us of sports. That anything's possible. Just heart over skill. Sometimes it's just. I mean, if anyone wrote this in Hollywood, it'd be like a script. It'd be like, come on. A hole in one? Seriously? What are the odds on the 15th hole on a Sunday of PGA Championships? Yeah. What's next? Save a putt on the 18th to go. And I mean. Anyway, I see kind of like a Steve Carell type actor playing him in the movie or something. Oh,
totally. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the other thing that I think really drew people to him is that when you look, he's 40. I think he's 46.
Yeah.
So like, and so when you look at him, you're just like, oh, he's just a dude. Like
he's
just
your neighbor mowing the lawn next door to you.
He is totally your neighbor mowing the lawn. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so and is, obviously he's not super accustomed to the media and all that. So like just everything was just so genuine with him. And
everything was so reactive. Everything was so like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, I really enjoyed.
There was no canned like media responses. There was no cliche like oh well you hit your shot blah blah blah. Like everything was just so genuine and raw and real and it was awesome.
And he felt he was in the moment. He really felt he was embraced. Like he would look around thinking, okay, I'm here now. Take this in.
He was at the pub. He was at the pub the night before on like Saturday night or Friday night or something. He was at one of the local watering holes taking pictures with people.
He even did the traditional walk off the 18th green and hug and kiss the wife moment. He did all. He did all the things he had to do. He high fived all the fans and so. Anyway, I was very, very happy for him. So Michael Block.
He's gonna be
a name you will forget, but not the feeling.
Well, not next year. He'll come around because he qualified, right? So he'll come around. He'll be a storyline next year. It'll
be the sequel to the Hollywood film. Sequels are never as good as the original.
Well,
so we'll see. Yeah. But good for him. I'm very happy.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So let's move on to my concluding segment. As always, is tennis.
So
yesterday,
I need to get sound effects of.
That's funny.
That was supposed to be tennis balls, not a whip.
I was wondering whether that was like jiu-jitsu or full contact sport tennis. Right? That's like wasn't Nick Kyrgios playing against somebody. But the draw came out, and just as I suspected, with Nadal being out. Oh, by the way, right before we did the last podcast, Nadal just decided to step aside for the rest of the year in tennis, just to get himself healthy. He just said, you know what? I've missed this long. I want to do this right. So he's going to come back, he says, in 2024 for the whole year and kind of like a farewell tour and say goodbye to all the tournaments that were important to him and just really be healthy and give himself the best opportunity to play. Okay, so that's stung a little after my whole speech about Nadal being in. And, so like a minute later, I'm like, okay, he's out. Okay, so that's great. But what happened was Medvedev, unlikely Medvedev, the Russian anti-hero, he actually won a clay court tournament, Rome, the important one. He won, and he catapulted over Djokovic to number 2 in the world, which means Alcaraz is 1 seed in the French Open, and Djokovic is 3, meaning that they're going to meet in the semifinals if they get that far. So now, instead of a final that we were looking for Djokovic and Alcaraz, now it's going to be in the semifinals because Medvedev, who's never going to get that far in the French Open because he can't play on clay, his Rome victory notwithstanding. Yeah, he just won. It was 2 out of 3. It's a different game when it's 3 out of 5 sets in the Grand Slam and it's 7 games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to do that 7 times in a row. It's a whole. And in the French Open, you also have these dirt ballers who do nothing else but play on clay all year long, and they look so. And Medvedev is like this hardcore specialist who's like lethal. But as far as anyway, I don't think he's going to get far. So what happens is for the French Open, that in Alcaraz also has the toughest road of all the draws of all the top seeds. He has the toughest road because remember, if it's four quarters for the whole draw, and the 5th seed, who's always a great player, is a floater to see where they land, and they landed in the top quarter. So now not only so Alcaraz has to go play Tsitsipas in the quarterfinals. He has to play Djokovic in the semifinals, and either Medvedev or Rune, who's this other phenom who's winning everything, in the finals, or Sinner. And Sinner and Rublev, to me, are the 2 sleepers that are in the draw. Anyway, the point is that Alcaraz seems unfazed by it. He was laughing about it, saying, "Okay, I play who's in front of me, so let's go." So
if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Exactly right, and that's his attitude. And he's like, Nadal has never ever complained about that ever in his life, and he's had some sucky draws himself. So So anyway, so that's going to be starts out Memorial Day. For me, it's always the beginning of the French Open, and also, of course, then when I avoid the Indy 500. So that's when I watch the last hour just to make sure I don't miss some spectacular finish or something. Why can't everything be like the Kentucky Derby, where everything's preamble for hours, and you can really just turn on for 5 minutes and watch the actual race?
That's true. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well,
that's my life in sports. What's happening with your life in sports?
Rafa.
I know. Oh, and the women, I still think watch out for Coco Gauff, but I think the Iga Swiatek and Sabalenka, the top two players, will end up in the final. But I think I'm hoping Coco Gauff can sneak in and make some noise. She needs to break through. It's time. It's time for her to break through.
It's time, Coco. Let's do it.
Let's do it. She's doing great in doubles, but we need her in singles.
All right. Well, there you have it. There it is. There is the show. We've put a bow on it, just like last time.
Wait, I'm a terrible bow maker.
Thank you so much for listening. We enjoy all of your ears anytime we can get them. You can listen anywhere you listen to your podcasts, which is Apple, Spotify, Podbean, as well as all the other ones. You can also find us socially on Instagram and Twitter, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head over to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF into the search bar, and we'll pop right up. And you can listen to our entire back catalog. You can spend the entire Memorial Day weekend listening nonstop to your friend.
I would. I'm thinking, what better way of honoring our veterans than by listening to all our podcasts? That's the best way to do it.
All right.
God bless America.
I'm done. I'm out of here. See ya.
Bye.